TV channel 279. I am Grace Hamwa Ajiman.
And I am Alfred Okanse. Coming up this evening.
News360 Headlines is brought to you by Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
EcoBank. Nero Prime Water.
Court of Appeal seeks Chief Justice's warrants for vacation sitting as Attorney General moves to halt Sedina Tamaklo's release after acquittal.
Also this evening, Industrial and Commercial Workers Union insists government suspend reported Valco sale, saying workers remain unconvinced despite engagement with Lands Minister.
And while West MP Peter Lanchene Tobu calls for calm as he urges transparent probe into death of murder suspect Abu Tijani in police custody.
Also in business this evening, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana urges government to suspend the 1 cedi levy on fuel price build-up, warning prices could jump by some 11% from tomorrow, August 1.
And later on the front, Democratic Republic of Congo's fast-spreading Ebola outbreak is now the world's second largest on record.
We have details of these and sports together with entertainment in the next 60 minutes here on News 360.
Right, let's begin from the courts. And a three-member panel of justices of the Court of Appeal has noted that they will seek a warrant from the Chief Justice to sit during the legal vacation to determine an application by the Attorney General seeking to halt the release of former Masloc CEO Sedina Tamaklo. The Court of Appeal on Thursday, July 30, upheld the appeal by lawyers of the former Masloc CEO and acquitted and discharged her. Lord Edwasari reports.
The Attorney General's Department on Thursday, July 30, filed an appeal against the Court of Appeal's decision to acquit and discharge former Masloc CEO Sedina Tamaklo. The office subsequently applied for a stay of execution of the court's order. In court on Friday, July 31, however, the panel of justices was unable to decide on the application after hearing arguments from both counsel and adjourned the case indefinitely. The panel, presided over by Justice Sophia Rosetta Benasco-Essa, rose to consider its ruling. However, after 2 hours, the justices were unable to reach a decision and subsequently adjourned the case indefinitely. The court then indicated that a warrant to sit during the legal vacation would be sought from the Chief Justice to hear and determine the Attorney General's application. The legal vacation begins on July 31 and ends in October. If the Attorney General's application for a stay of execution is not determined or granted, former Masloc CEO Sedina Tamaklo will be released from prison custody in compliance with the Court of Appeal's order acquitting and discharging her. Lord Edwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's stay a bit further on this matter as anti-corruption campaigner Emmanuel Wilson has described the acquittal and discharge of former Masloc CEO Sedina Tamaklo as a major blow to Ghana's fight against corruption. His reaction follows a unanimous decision in court ruling earlier yesterday by the Court of Appeal that the prosecution failed to prove its case beyond reasonable doubt.
The Court of Appeal on Thursday, July 30, overturned the 10-year prison sentence imposed on Sedina Tamaklo in 2024 after she was tried and convicted in absentia by the High Court. Reacting to the judgment, Chief Crusader of Crusaders Against Corruption, Emmanuel Wilson, expressed disappointment, warning that the decision could weaken public confidence in the fight against corruption.
That ruling to have taken place yesterday, what it creates in the minds of people in terms of perception is that in the fight against corruption, we have what we call political corruption and we have citizen or ordinary citizens corruption. In that, if you belong to a political party and your party is in office, even if you engage in corrupt practices, you'll be let to go. And that does not augur well for us as far as the fight against corruption in this country is concerned. Indeed, yesterday's ruling was a blow
He also questioned the Attorney General's decision to appeal the ruling at the Supreme Court.
I will want to wait to see what will happen. But if indeed the AG had any strong grounds and was really committed to ensuring that this case or the original judgment was seen through, whatever he wants to submit now could have been submitted during the appeal, and for us to have a different outcome that we had yesterday. And so we want to wait and see what will come. But for me, from where I sit, it is more of much I do about that.
Co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Edem Senanu, says he does not believe justice has been served and insists that more questions need to be answered.
Monies, we are not sure whether those monies have been properly used or been, filched away into somebody's pockets. I will not, align with those who want to suggest that it is government that has set her free. This is a court of competent jurisdiction that has given a ruling. So the judiciary has taken a decision. But government, just perhaps like many of us, can see that there's something that doesn't sit too well with respect to the ruling. And so appealing it to make sure that we run the full course. Let's establish, is there money that should be retrieved? Is there something that has gone wrong? Rather than it just be simply about procedures, this wasn't done right, or evidence, and so on and so forth.
The former Masloc CEO had faced 78 charges, including stealing, causing financial loss to the state, money laundering, and breaches of the Public Procurement Act. Beatrice Soa, TV3 News, Accra.
And still on this, the opposition NPP says it will embark on a protest on August 6 following the Court of Appeal's decision to acquit and discharge former Masloc CEO Sedina Tamaklo. At a press conference, the party's national organizer, Henry Nana Boakye, criticized the ruling, alleging that it undermines confidence in the judiciary.
The New Patriotic Party says the demonstration is intended to defend Ghana's democracy. The party's national organizer, Henry Nana Boakye, described the ruling as a disservice to Ghanaians and questioned the basis for overturning the conviction.
The time for silence is over. The New Patriotic Party hereby serves notice that on 6th of August, next week Thursday, 2026, in collaboration with other political parties, civil society, organizations, professional bodies, student movement, youth movement, and all well-meaning citizens, we shall embark on massive demonstration to defend our democracy. We are starting here in Accra and we'll be going to other regions as well to defend our democracy, our constitution, and the rule of law. And if you have a certain fear hovering around our justice delivery system, and this application is before them, all of us, we must speak against it. The New Patriotic Party demand the following. Since it is now abundantly clear that the Attorney General and the machinery of justice under the administration have no intention whatsoever of protecting the public purse, the Attorney General should, as a matter of consistency and fairness, immediately discontinue and discharge all appointees of the previous MPP administration currently standing trial.
The party says the August 6 protest will serve as a platform to register its concern over the ruling and the need to protect Ghana's democratic gains.
Well, let's move away from Sedina Tamaklo matters arising, but let's still stay a bit further in the courts because the Accra High Court has granted Samuel Atachia leave to review and abreast himself with Chairman Wontumi's Tanon Nimeri Forest Reserve illegal mining case after taking over as new counsel a few days ago. The private legal practitioner on Friday, July 31, formally introduced himself to the presiding judge as the new lawyer taking over from the Honorable Andy Apiakubi.
Akonta Mining Company, Chairman Wontumi, and 2 others have been charged with illegally mining in the forest reserve, facilitating illegal mining operations, and building mining structures in the Tanon Nimeri Forest Reserve in the Western region. They have pleaded not guilty and are out on bail while the 3rd and 4th accused remain at large. When the case was called, private legal practitioner Samuel Atachia notified the trial judge that he was taken over as the substantive counsel for Wontumi following the withdrawal of Andy Apiakubi as legal representative. He prayed for an adjournment to be able to assess the progress of the case and get abreast with the proceedings. Justice Ruby Aite then noted that Andy Apiakubi had utilized 4 out of 6 hours allocated to the defense for the cross-examination of the prosecution's third witness, the investigator. She, however, added that the defense could request additional time after assessing the proceedings. The Ashanti Regional Chairman made his second appearance at the Criminal Division for his case after beginning his 20-year jail term. The case has since been adjourned to August 18 for mention, but substantively will be heard on October 26 for continuation of the cross-examination of the prosecution's third witness, Lord Idwasari. TV3 News, Accra.
And government has unveiled its position on sweeping proposals to reform the 1992 Constitution, backing a number of far-reaching recommendations made by the Constitutional Review Committee. In the following explainer, Evelyn Tegma highlights the key recommendations government support and what they could mean for the future of governance in Ghana.
One of the most significant recommendations relates to the tenure of the President and members of Parliament. Government supports reviewing the current 4-year term with proposals for extending both presidential and parliamentary terms to 5 years. The argument is that a longer term would allow governments more time to implement development programs while reducing the frequency and cost of elections. The position paper also recommends reviewing the constitutional age requirement for presidential candidates. While the current constitution requires a person to be at least 40 years old to contest the presidency, government supports reducing the minimum age to 35 years to encourage greater youth participation in national leadership. Another major proposal concerns Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executives, MMDCEs. Government supports the election of MMDCEs by universal adult suffrage instead of their appointment by the President, and according to government, it is to deepen decentralization and increase accountability to local communities. The position paper also backs reforms for a clearer separation between the executive and parliament. This includes reviewing the long-standing practice where majority of ministers are appointed from among members of parliament. The position paper further endorses placing a constitutional cap of 300 on members of parliament, as well as a 10-year fixed tenure for the Chief Justice. It also agreed to allow Ghanaians with dual citizenship to hold a wider range of public offices in order to harness their expertise and experience. Government also accepted to separate the offices of Attorney General and Minister for Justice, which means the Attorney General will no longer be a Minister of State and will retain prosecutorial independence and constitutional status similar to a Supreme Court Justice. On local governance, government supports measures to strengthen metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies by giving them greater administrative and financial autonomy with the aim to improve service delivery and accelerate local development. The government also supports reforms to the Council of State to make it more effective and representative. While government has expressed support for many of these recommendations, not all will take immediate effect. Proposals requiring constitutional amendments must go through Parliament, while changes to entrenched provisions of the Constitution must be approved by Ghanaians through a national referendum before they can become law. If implemented, these reforms could represent some of the most significant changes to the country's constitutional and governance framework since the Fourth Republic began in 1993. Evelyn Tingma, TV3 News, Accra.
And Grace, you recall we've been talking about this news of the fatal crash involving the school bus on the N1 highway. Yesterday night, we had that unpleasant news of the death of one of the children involved in this accident. The latest is that this crash involving the school bus on the N1 highway at the Jolu area has heightened concerns over the safety of children who rely on school transport every day. A day after the collision, claimed the life of one pupil and left several others injured. Some of the victims remain on admission as investigations into the crash continues. Samuel Yabo Adams reports.
For thousands of pupils, the journey to and from school is routine. But Thursday's crash involving a school bus and a tipper truck on the N1 highway at Jolu has once again brought the safety of school transportation into sharp focus. Officials of the Ghana National Fire Service who coordinated the emergency response say 2 of the injured pupils have been discharged while 8 remain on admission. ADO1 Alex Kinati is a member of the Ghana National Fire Service Public Relations Department.
So today, we can confirm that unfortunately one of the victims of the tragic accident unfortunately passed away yesterday. The fortunate thing is that the other 10 kids who were at 37 Hospital are currently in very stable condition. They are responding to treatment. 2 of them had been discharged at the time of our visit. The one who had a very severe open cut to the thigh was being prepped to the theater for surgery. The other one who had severe cuts to the head had also been transferred to underward. I saw another child who had just been fixed with a new POP who was, so it looks like treatment is ongoing.
The victims have been identified as pupils of Asgard International Academy at Ajay Kojo Kanewu. At the school, grief has replaced what was expected to be the final day of the academic term. Subject teacher Patience Jifasenyaji says activities to mark the vacation were suspended following the unfortunate incident.
I didn't take it easy at all. I was very sad. I cried a lot because the children, they are very, very, very dear to me. I came around this morning and I learned the headmaster has been rushed to the Daben hospital. They were supposed to vacate today. Our day didn't come on because most of our pupils are involved in the accident.
Staff say their immediate priority is the recovery of the injured pupils and supporting their families through the difficult period.
As a parent, you can't handle because the girl in question, her junior sister is dead now and her senior sister is seriously injured in the head. So I don't know how her parents will feel, but I know the Almighty will restore whatever they've lost.
The crash occurred when the school bus transporting pupils home after school was reportedly struck by a tipper truck on the N1 highway at Jolu. Police investigation into the circumstances leading to the collision are ongoing. Samuel Yabo Adams, TV3 News, Accra.
I'm talking about children. The Member of Parliament for Afuano South West, Mohammed Yakubu, has apologized following public outrage over remarks he made about a young schoolgirl, insisting the comments were intended as a joke. The incident has since reignited concerns among gender advocates, child rights groups, and sections of the public about the safety of children. Nura Mohammed reports.
The remarks, made during a public interaction with school children at Parliament House, quickly sparked outrage on social media, with many describing them as inappropriate and unacceptable.
What's your name? Huh? Okay, you're very beautiful. When you grow up, I'll marry you. So, she's my wife. Huh? In future, she will also be an MP.
The backlash prompted calls from gender and child rights advocates who argued that comments directed at children must reflect the duty of care owed to minors. According to child protection advocates, normalizing such remarks, even as jokes, can undermine efforts to safeguard children from abuse and exploitation.
When I watched the video, I realized that he actually pointed out to the girl and he asked her name, and then he went on to say, "Oh, you are beautiful. I'll marry you in future," and still went on to talk about the fact that she could one day become an MP and all the other children could become somebody. You could tell from the video that it came off as a joke, you know. He was just giving an inspirational thought. But from a safeguarding perspective, I will be looking at the fact that why did he feel that it was okay to point her out in a group of young people and say you are beautiful? What was he thinking about? Because you were giving a motivational speech or an inspiring speech to young people. How did your mind suddenly veer from that to talk about how beautiful she looks? And I mean, you could see that the girl was a bit uncomfortable when he mentioned that. Now, we are not even looking beyond the surface to see how that can also impact the girl as a young person, and how that can even impact all the other young persons there, because this is someone in a place of power.
Facing mounting criticism, the MP issued a public apology saying the comments were intended as a joke and expressing regret for any offense caused. The incident has since renewed calls for public officials and the general public to exercise greater caution when engaging with children, with advocates insisting that culture, humor, or tradition should never be used to excuse comments that compromise a child's dignity. Child protection experts have repeatedly warned that such remarks can contribute to the objectification of minors and undermine efforts to safeguard children's rights. Nura Mohammed, TV3 News, Accra.
Such a troubling development, is it not? But at age 14, Gbeho, that's not his real name, should have been in the classroom. Instead, he was forced to abandon school and go fishing on the Lake Volta. Now, Volta regional correspondent Faisal Abdul Idris sheds light on how Gbeho's rescue 2 years ago changed the course of his life.
Gbeho, not his real name, is one of 5 siblings born in a remote village in the Central Tong district. Long before he turned 7, his father passed away, leaving his upbringing to his maternal grandmother, a widow in her 70s. With time, Gbeho was sent to Yeji in the Pro East district of the Bono East region to live with a supposed grandfather. That move, however, abruptly ended his academic journey. All day, every week, he was made to go fishing on the Volta Lake from dawn to dusk, and sometimes through the darkest hours of the night, he sat on fishing boats.
I was not going to school. We are catching fish on the river with my grandpa. Sometimes we go in the day, sometimes we go in the night.
The children in Yeji, were you not seeing them go to school?
No. Some people will do paopa.
Which one is the paopa?
When the pantu come, they will go and take sack and they will give them money.
But Gbeho's story is not an isolated one. In fishing communities along the Volta Lake, children continue to be trafficked and forced into dangerous labor hidden from public view.
They go and they are used to dive into the deep depth of the river to disentangle nets. And in the process, some of them get injured or they die.
According to a 2025 data from Free the Slaves Ghana, an estimated 20,000 children are forced into hazardous fishing in communities along the Volta Lake.
They go through a lot of abuse from the hands of their boat masters. Some of them have been taken away from homes as far as when they were 2 years old and have lived with these boat masters who have abused them, used hard words on them, denied them access to education.
But for Gbeho, help came after many years on the lake through the GlobeServe Ministries International, which has dedicated itself to rescuing such children. He was set free.
We cannot sit aloof and just watch, for children to be trafficked, for children to be enslaved. We speak to the boat masters. These are the owners of the boats. These are the owners of the fishing industries that they have there. We bring them to a room like this that you have seen. And all we do is that we preach the gospel to them. During the course of that conferences is when somebody came up and said, well, he feel like what he's doing is not right. He would like to give out, the child.
2 years after his release, the now 14-year-old boy is back in school, where he has rediscovered himself.
It was very difficult. They were very timid and antisocial. They were able to socialize and then mingle with their immediate colleagues. As time goes on, God being so good, they are now able to play with their colleagues, jokes, and then learn together.
I'm happy I am schooling now. When it's break, we go and eat. When it's break over, we get inside. Our teacher will teach us. When it's second break, we go and eat again. Me and my friend will play. And when it's break over, we get in again. I am no longer catching fish again. In my future, I want to be a soldier or a police. So I will study hard.
Over the years, Other organizations like the International Justice Mission and the International Organization for Migration have rescued or secured the release of children whose lives were endangered through trafficking. But as the world marks another International Day against trafficking in persons, stakeholders are calling for stronger action to end the crime once and for all. Faisal Abdul Idrisu, TV3 News.
Let's do some other stories tonight. The Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU, has renewed its call on President Mahama to suspend any plans to sell the Volta aluminum company Valco. The union says while the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources met with workers on Thursday, July 30, the engagement alone will not address their concerns unless government halts the reported sale process.
On Monday, July 27, the ICU staged a demonstration to protest what it describes as the government's plans to sell a majority stake in Valco. The union says information available to it suggests the government has identified a strategic investor expected to acquire a 70% stake in the company, a move it fears could threaten the job security of workers. The demonstration drew the attention of the board chairman of Valco, who maintained that the company is not for sale. The development prompted the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to visit the Valco premises, where he assured workers of the government's commitment to addressing their concerns. However, after the minister's visit, the ICU's National Executive Council, at an emergency meeting, resolved to petition President Mahama to intervene by suspending any proposed sale of the company.
As a listening president who places premium value on the indigenization and strategic partnership and ownership of key national assets, we respectfully urge you to give favorable consideration to our appeal and ensure that Valco retains its proud status as a strategic national asset.
The ICU General Secretary also had this message for the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
Peaceful demonstrations are permissible under the laws of this country. We have every legitimate right to embark on a peaceful demonstration.
Let's go to Wa West. As a member of parliament for the Wa West constituency, Peter Lanchani Tobu has called for calm and a transparent investigation into the death of a key murder suspect who died while in police custody. The suspect, Abu Tijani, also known as Master One, was arrested in connection with investigations into the murder of two young men linked to the Kandeo-Lasia-Tola conflict. Correspondent Ibrahim Wangara reports.
Tensions remain high in parts of the Wa West district following the death of Abu Tijani, popularly known as Master One, a key suspect in the investigation into the murder and disappearance of two young men from Bekwentene. The suspect died on Saturday, July 25, 2026, after falling ill and was rushed to the SDA hospital in Wa. Member of Parliament for Wa West, Peter Lanchani Tobu, described the development as unfortunate and appealed to residents to remain calm while investigations continue.
Justice must be done for every victim of this conflict, and every allegation, including the circumstances surrounding the death of people of both communities, deserve to see the rule of law prevail, and all persons found culpable should be dealt with in accordance with the laws of Ghana, without fear or favor.
He urged the Attorney General's Department to ensure the speedy prosecution of all criminal cases arising from the conflict, while encouraging both factions to return to the mediation table. Meanwhile, the Upper West Regional Police Command says Abu Tijani had been on its wanted list after allegedly escaping arrest in May this year.
While on the way going, he complained of a headache
And that prompted the police team to halt, to transport him immediately to the nearest health facility. That happened to be the SDA clinic. He was admitted, and unfortunately, after some hours, he passed, despite a lot of effort by the medical authorities.
Both the police and the Wawes MP are urging residents to remain calm.
Let's now take a look at the weather updates for the next 24 hours.
Weather News segment is brought to you by Syntex Tank.
two factors will push up the retail prices of petrol, diesel and LPG. Also factored into the August 1 pricing window is the NPA raising the floor price. Diesel recorded the biggest increase, with its price floor rising by 18.3% to 16 cedis 97 pesos per litre, while petrol increased by 9.4% to 14 cedis 53 pesos per litre, and LPG's floor price rose by 8.5% to 11 cedis 06 pesos per kilogram.
We are looking at petrol selling at a maximum of 16 cedis per litre, and diesel we are also looking at a maximum of 20 cedis 92 pesos per litre in the next window. LPG is also to be sold around 14 cedis per kilogram in the next window.
Individual consumers and businesses have to brace for the price increases at the local pumps.
Cost of living is very high, so increasing fuel prices would worsen the situation and transport fares would increase.
We are being evicted from where we are selling. The increase in fuel prices will mean increase in transport fares.
If there is going to be an increase again, I don't think it's a surprise to me as a Ghanaian, because that's how the system has always been.
Drivers will charge 10 times above fuel price increases.
When it comes to fuel prices, and then increment that is about to shoot up, I think it's not Ghana alone, it is global.
Head of Research and Training at COPEC, Paul Eric Ofori, is calling on government to introduce urgent measures to cushion consumers, warning that the increases could put more pressure on households and businesses already grappling with cost of living challenges.
My hope is that before the day ends, perhaps government will intervene by suspending the 1 cedi levy immediately, and then also consider some taxes and levies on the price build-up, which could also be suspended to give some level of respite to consumers.
Away from that, the Securities and Exchange Commission says it is preparing to take action against 23 entities accused of promoting unlicensed investment products online. The regulator had earlier warned the public against dealing with the entities, which it says operates mainly through social media and other online platforms.
The Commission says its surveillance activities have identified a number of entities promoting and offering investment products without the required license. It says the entities use social media and online platforms to target potential investors despite not being authorized to provide investment services. Speaking at a financial literacy workshop organized by Media General for its staff, Deputy Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission SEC, Mensa Thompson, said the Commission would soon intensify enforcement action against the identified entities.
For all these people behind that, those fraudulent schemes, we've been able to track majority of them. You know, most of these people are faceless, but thankfully, with the help of the Cybersecurity Authority, we've been able to identify a few individuals who are of interest to us, which very soon we'll pick them up with law enforcement so they can help us, bring closer to this matter.
The workshop forms part of efforts by Media General to equip its staff with knowledge to make informed financial and investment decisions. Mr. Thompson commended the initiative, saying financial education is essential to improving people's understanding of investment risk and protecting their financial well-being.
Let me commend Media General for inviting us to do this workshop for their staff. It's a very important aspect of our public education mandate as a commission, is to get our people to understand this market properly. But then again, it also relies on the principle of when you educate a woman, you educate the entire nation. If the people in the media space are properly educated, then they are also able to send a message to a much wider population. And so we take this very, very seriously. So we want to commend you for this.
The SEC says it remains open to working with other corporate organizations interested in providing their employees with financial and investment education.
We'll wrap up the segment here. My name is Menuafo, but before that, let's look at how the cedi is faring against other trading currencies and how some of our key commodities are faring on the global market.
U15s should be the head of U17s, should be the head of U20s. That head coach of youth teams should be an assistant coach for the first team. The U20s, U17s, they will be the main focus. So that two groups, within 2 years, definitely 70 to 80% should be able to do what? Playing for the first team. After 2 years, the head coach of the youth teams have been close to the first team for 2 years. Yeah. Now, the players from U17s, players from U20s, now they are growing, they are maturing, they are getting to the first team. If Carlos doesn't continue, automatically you have a first team coach, head coach for the first team.
Somebody who knows the
system.
Who
knows the system, who has been close to the first team. At the same time, he is in charge of the youth system. It makes sure the same style of play with the U15s, the same identity with the U17s, the same identity with the U20s. For me, I think that's the way forward than for us to wait. And then when there is a competition, we go bring players from there, left, right, center, put them together for a few weeks, go and play tournaments. You go there, you perform, you can perform. But results, it will be very difficult.
Like Kingsley spoke to Michael Otieje. Let's go to England, where Chelsea winger Mykhailo Mudryk is free to resume his professional career after the Football Association confirmed the resolution of his anti-doping case, ending more than 19 months on the sideline. The Ukraine international has not featured for Chelsea since December 2024 after being provisionally suspended following a positive test for the banned substance meldonium, which put him on the sideline. However, the FA announced on Friday that Mudryk's period of absence has now expired following an agreement reached with the World Anti-Doping Agency. Now, the 25-year-old will be focusing on rebuilding his career and competing for a place in Xabi Alonso's squad ahead of the new Premier League season. To some women's football, where South Africa staged a spirited comeback in the second half to rescue a 2-2 draw against Cote d'Ivoire in the CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations Group B clash, keeping their hopes of reaching the quarterfinals alive. Trailing by 2 goals at the break, Bayana showed remarkable resilience as Tembik Alana and Hilda Mega struck in the closing stages to earn a valuable point after a difficult first half. The draw leaves Group B finally poised heading into the final round of fixtures, with the Ivorians in a favorable position, 4 points, while South Africa's single point keeps them in contention for the quarterfinals. That's all by way of sports here on News 360. My name is Mutala Yakubu.
Line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
came from a family that made an enduring contribution to Ghana's history. As the son of Philip Gbeho, whose arrangement of Ghana's national anthem continues to inspire generations of Ghanaians, he inherited not only a proud family name, but also a deep sense of duty to his country. From the earliest days of his career in Ghana's foreign service, Ambassador Gbeho understood that representing one's country was not simply an assignment but a sacred trust. For more than 5 decades, he carried that responsibility with uncommon professionalism, quiet confidence, and unwavering patriotism. Fondly remembered by his children who described him as not just a father, but a leader par excellence.
But Dad had his own way of grounding his family. He often said that service orientation was, as Gbeho's, our inherent strength. And thankfully, he left his children and the wider family with a perfect example, gifting the quintessence of a life of service.
Ghana's foreign ministry paid a glowing tribute to him.
He was one of Ghana's most accomplished diplomats. Beyond that, he was a revered statesman, a trusted source of counsel, and an inspiring embodiment of the finest traditions of Ghana's public service.
Having served along with the current Speaker of Parliament as an independent Member of Parliament for the Anglo constituency, Alban Bagbin extolled his human nature.
Ambassador Gbeho's service, first in this Chamber of Parliament as independent Member of Parliament for Anglo, and later as President of the ECOWAS Commission, bore the unmistakable mark of a rare and gifted public servant.
President Mahama's tribute, read by Senior Presidential Advisor and Special Aide Joyce Bawa Mokhtari, eulogized him.
Those who worked with him knew that he brought to every decision a rare combination of wisdom, patience, and absolute fidelity to the national interest. It was during this period that I had the privilege of serving with him in Parliament. Although our responsibilities differed, I observed closely the qualities that made him such an exceptional public servant. He was thoughtful without being hesitant, firm without being confrontational, and humble without ever diminishing the strength of his conviction.
James Victor Gbeho, among others, served as Minister for Foreign Affairs under President Jerry John Rawlings and the United Nations Special Envoy to Liberia.
And may his soul continue to rest in perfect peace. Coming up, international news. Democratic Republic of Congo's fast-spreading Ebola outbreak is now the world's second largest on record, government data showed on Friday, as transmission continues to outpace efforts to continue the epidemic. Also, the number of cases reported across Congo has risen to 3,532, the Communications Ministry said in a statement, with 1,556 deaths recorded. Less than 3 months since the outbreak began, the disease has killed 5 times as many people as previous outbreaks had by the same stage, according to Africa's top public health agency, the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The outbreak is caused by the rare Bundibugyo strain of the Ebola virus, which has no approved vaccine or treatment. Health responders are also battling insecurity and across eastern Congo, where dozens of armed groups operate, while deep foreign aid cuts have stretched resources. There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. Join Kemeni Amano and the team on Ghana Tonight at 10 p.m. I'm Alfred Kansi.
Grace Hamwajiman, thank you for joining us. Good evening.